I don't know you or your circumstances, so you may well be an exception to what I'm just about to say. But most people I know who have a job are not particularly happy with the fact that they're working for somebody else. Sure, in these increasingly hard times, they're certainly grateful to have a monthly income. But at the end of the day, it seems to me that the majority of people who work the regulation 9 to 5 are not particularly happy doing so. Some of these people have jobs that they hate, while others will despise the boss or have a boss who appears to despise them. There are still others who loathe the 4 hours they spend every day commuting to and from the office, and so on. To be honest, it's not a particularly encouraging picture. And here's the other thing. Even those who don't appear to have a concrete reason for hating their daily job still do so. Have you ever stopped to wonder why this might be? Why human beings seem to have an intrinsic dislike of working for other people? Well, I have, and here's my conclusion. Most people don't like working for other people because they know that the bosses, whoever they might be, are taking home way more cash than they are. And, even more annoyingly, it happens because of the work that the average Joe is doing while the bosses take it easy, as far as Joe can see anyway. Joe wants the boot to be on the other foot, to be the one who makes money from the work of others rather than being the worker himself. It's the age-old dream, right? Working and getting paid for your efforts is all very well, but how much better it would be if other people did the work and you got paid for their efforts. For the average guy, it sounds like a pipe dream, something that's never going to happen to our friend Joe if he lives to be 200 years old. If you believe this, then keep watching, because I suspect that what you're about to discover is going to change your perception of what you can and cannot achieve beyond all recognition, and maybe enable you to give your job the push too. So what's all this about? Well, in simple terms, what I'm going to introduce you to in this video series is a guide to setting up your own legitimate online business, one which could realistically start generating an income for you within a matter of days of setting the whole thing up. Now, let me say right here that unlike many of the get-rich-on-the-net hokey schemes, there are no magic tricks or hidden secrets in all this. Furthermore, there's no pretense that this business will make you $1 million in the first week. Nevertheless, because it's infinitely scalable, the amount that you earn will to a large extent depend upon the amount of time and effort that you are able or willing to put in. And yes, a little time and effort is going to be needed. On the upside, this is a business venture that you can start without any great experience of online business, and it's not necessary to have a significant amount of startup capital either. Furthermore, unlike many online businesses, you don't need to have a mailing list of prospects and potential customers to make this work. You don't need to have your own product or service, and you don't need joint venture partners who can help you by promoting your business to their mailing list members or customers. Indeed, it's possible to launch this business without even having a website, although from experience I know that it works better, in other words more profitably, if you have a website through which you can present your services to the online community, and you'll see why exactly later. Even so, it's not absolutely necessary to have a site before launching, which means that you can have this whole thing operational in less than a week from a standing start. As suggested, the amount that you earn from this particular business is very much dictated by the amount of time and effort that you're willing to dedicate to it, but earning figures of $500 to $1,000 every week are very much attainable relatively quickly. Before going into the exact details of what this business is and how it works, let me explain to you why it works, as this should let you see that this is indeed a viable and legitimate business concept. Now, the modern internet is a huge global marketplace via which billions of dollars of business are transacted every year, and with every passing year the amount of money changing hands on the net increases by a massive margin. Nevertheless, for the vast majority of people who use the net, the number one reason that they get online every day is to find information, answers to questions that they need, or solutions to problems that they have. A large percentage of the time, the information that they need is available free. Indeed, if you know how or where to look, you can find almost anything you need online for free. but occasionally they may be willing to spend a little money to get what they need. Experienced online marketers understand what this majority of people are doing when they use the net. Consequently, they build a blog or a website that provides a tranche of valuable information to site visitors at no cost, usually backed up with a more detailed information product about the same topic which they're going to sell for money. Now, there are billions of websites and blogs that provide information to hungry searchers, and whilst the way that the information is presented to site visitors has expanded over the past couple of years, information-packed videos are increasingly common, for example, the vast majority of information is still provided using the written word. Now, imagine that you have a blog that provides information about dog training, and that through your online marketing efforts you send hundreds of visitors who are hungry for information about dogs and dog training to your site each and every day. If your site is making money for you, you want all of these dog lovers to come back to your site on a regular basis, as this is how you maximize your blog generated income. So, how do you do this? Well, you do this by adding fresh new information to the blog on a regular basis, because if you don't, people will stop coming back when they realize that there's nothing new for them on your site. Hence, there are millions of online business owners and entrepreneurs out there who need a constant flow of high-quality written content, and many of them are either unwilling or unable to create this content for themselves. At the same time, they recognize that without the ability to add additional information to their site or sites on a regular basis, their business will eventually shrivel and die. They therefore have a very real need for content, and as always, one man's need is another man's or woman's opportunity. Now, I can imagine that you might be sitting there thinking, but I can't write. I haven't written anything more than a shopping list since I left school, so how does this represent an opportunity for me? You might also very reasonably question how you can make a good living from this with as little effort as I've previously suggested if you're expected to write thousands of words every week. I'll begin to deal with both of these queries in the next video, because this is where the story starts to get interesting.